Welcome to Warn Radio with your hosts, the Watchman Dana Smith and Tower. Thanks for listening.
Greetings in the name of the Lord and welcome to Warn Radio. This is Tower. I'm here with the Watchman and we are glad you joined us. Please send all your prayer requests and correspondence to us through our contact page at warn-usa.com. You can listen to our Warn Radio episodes on danaglennsmith.com and warn-usa.com. Warn Radio is on the following platforms: Amazon Prime Music and Podcast, Spreaker, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Play Music, Blog Talk Radio, Podcast Addict, Castbox, Google Podcast, Deezer, Spotify, Anchor, and Pocket Cast. And do not miss the featured post this week of our in-depth biblical articles and radio shows, featured on both warn-usa.com and danaglennsmith.com. God of Chaos, Spirit of Lawlessness. On the Wings of the Wind. Awaken to God's mercy, faith, and grace. And featured on danaglennsmith.com, Prophecy's Long Shadow. And I am He, Yeshua, to believe or not. Featured on warn-usa.com, Cup of Sorrows, Truth of Righteousness. Book of Hebrews, Son of God, Order of Melchizedek, Part 6. Council of Jehovah, Isaiah's Prophetic Book, Part 107. And Pentecost Ecclesia Hebrew Roots Series Classic Warn Radio. And don't miss the weekly shows of the WIBR Warn Radio for Wednesday, May 22nd. The Advocacy Show, Faith and Hope, Redemption, Martyrdom, Death's Door, Unreached People, Gospel of Jesus Christ on Warn Radio. Battle lines for May 23rd, Thursday. Rebellious People, Father, Isaiah's Prophetic Book, Part 217 on battle lines. Fridays, May 24th, Sound the Shofar, The Word, the Redeeming Christ, Part 2. And be sure to get your copy of The Rising. It's a Christian fiction thriller by the Watchman Dana G. Smith, a story of personal survival, the struggle of a nation, and the love of two people, set amid the prophetic landscape of perilous times. Hidden within the storyline of The Rising is the truth of what's happening in America now. Check out The Rising. Get your copy of The Rising on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Ingram, Walmart, Angus & Robertson. And the ebook, The Rising ebook, can be found on Google Play. And you can also get your copy of The Rising by going to danaglennsmith.com, where you can visit our Christian books and resource shop. And we feature The Rising and other Christian books, as well as resources from our Vision Media. And now I welcome in the Watchman.
You're listening to Warn Radio on the WIBR Warn Radio Network. Don't forget to visit our websites at warn-usa.com and danaglennsmith.com. And also follow us on Twitter, find us on Instagram, and join us on LinkedIn.
Greetings, Dana. How are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great on this 6th day of June, 2024.
You know,
Hard to believe.
when you look at that, that's a half a year.
It is.
And, this is election year. There's a lot of things that have happened.
Yes, sir.
And there's a lot of things that have to happen in order for us to even begin to come out of the mess that Biden and the Democrats have led us into. However, tonight we're not talking politics. We're going to be in Isaiah. And we're getting down to the end now, aren't we?
We sure are.
And so,
Are you ready?
yeah.
Mine Elect brings us to part 218 on battle lines. We are about a chapter and a half from finishing the book of Isaiah. From the first chapter of Isaiah to this point, we have dealt with the sins of Judah and the justice of God and judgment against those responsible. However, we have seen God judge Israel, both houses, and know the results today. If ever there was a sign to the Gentiles not to test the Lord God of hosts, it is found in Isaiah. For indeed the nations of men are no better, nor close to sainthood. Justice and judgment both come and will arrive unexpectedly upon the nations. Many tribes and beliefs of those in the nation today will find a harsh, hard-to-bear judgment from the Lord of Lords and King of Kings, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. For he stands alone as the Almighty in Revelation chapter 1. Isaiah proves both the justice of God and his forgiveness along with restoration. And now back to you. I'll see you on the other side.
Okay. And indeed, we did mention in that little excerpt the justice on the nations. Our focus is not the justice on all the nations and all the other prophecies. We have covered a lot of that. Our focus is following Judah and many of the promises and how it relates to the Gentiles, as well as the restoration of Judah and the restoration of the northern tribes. So there's a lot of issues in here. And, when you go through a book like this, you're not going to, cover everybody's question, and this is what it is. It's a study that we've been doing for better than, I think, 5 years now, Tower.
Yes, that's right.
And so we're going to be in verse 6 of chapter 65. The justice of God never rests. It'll be sooner or later. There's two. There's the justice of God when he brings judgment, and there's the justice of God when he redeems the elect. And there's the justice of God when the ones who are the wicked are thrown into Sheol, actually into the lake of fire for all eternity. In verse 6, behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but will recompense, even recompense into their bosom. Now, if I was reading verses and one had to apply to me, when you read this verse, we're looking at that, and of course, it's Isaiah writing, and when Isaiah writes, he has the Spirit of God. And so he says, I will not keep silent. Isaiah is going to continue speaking. But when he speaks, it's thus saith the Lord. The ultimate one here is not just the prophet, even though the prophets of God were highly regarded. I mean, you could say that. But it was also what the Lord said when he came. And he said, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that stonest the prophet. That was, how oft would I have gathered you as a mother hen does her chicks, bring them together and protect them. But they would have none of it. And he later on says, your house is left unto you desolate, which it wound up desolate. And I've said this before regarding this. So it's important. Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but will recompense, even recompense into their bosom. And Judah didn't listen. And Judah did get reinstated. And they did get back into the temple, but they eventually lost it again. But they didn't lose it until the coming of the Messiah. They actually had it. And of course there was, a number of things in there, Antiochus Epiphanes, and there's a lot of events that happened. He's going to recompense. And there's one thing that if you could get across to people in America, and I know there's a whole bunch of nations, but America is unclean. And America and Americans are doing things that is going to bring wrath. And the problem of it is and I use a term like most churches are not doing what they're supposed to do, when in essence it's probably many of them. Not just most, but a bigger number. America has not feared judgment. America at one time feared God. And even in the constitutions, our own forefathers wrote about the judgment of God will not, always seem to look the other way concerning America. And the fact that during the Biden administration, and this is one president that you can say was the most inept, most clumsy, he has dementia, and the Democrats ignored it. Now, I'm not really dissing Biden. I'm trying to describe a guy that's what happened and has been going on. And yet, for all the physical problems that he may have, along with the help of others behind the scene, they have been able to totally emasculate America, totally overrun it with illegals, and make America into an absolute catastrophe. Now, you see, Isaiah was there when Hezekiah was king. And when the Assyrians attacked and camped out near the gates, the gate of Jerusalem, and were going to destroy it. Well, God ended up destroying Assyria. And Israel did not learn the lesson. Judah did not learn the lesson because they ended up backsliding. And Jeremiah came. He warned them. They wouldn't listen, and they were carried away for 70 years. These are people that should know better. In Isaiah 65 and verse 6, we're getting to the end of the prophecy of Isaiah. And he says, Behold, it is written